Hello, and welcome back to English for Love and Life, the podcast that helps you navigate the world of relationships while mastering the English language. I'm your host, Annette.
And I'm Patrick. It's great to be with y'all. Today, we are diving into a topic that fills even the most confident people with a little bit of dread. How to talk confidently on a first date.
Oh, the first date. It's the ultimate test of conversational skills, isn't it? I still remember a first date I had years ago where I was so nervous I completely forgot the name of my favorite band when he asked. I just blanked.
Totally relatable. I once tried to tell a joke to break the ice and completely messed up the punchline. It was just silence. So awkward. And that's as a native speaker. When you're also navigating a second language, that pressure can feel 10 times bigger.
Exactly. So today, we're going to break it all down. We'll start by talking about why we get so nervous. Then we'll give you a ton of practical advice, from pre-date preparation and mastering conversation flow to using body language to your advantage. We'll also cover how to handle those tricky moments, like awkward silences or forgetting a word in English. By the end of this episode, you'll have a complete toolkit to walk into your next first date feeling prepared and, most importantly, confident. Let's get started. So, Patrick, let's talk about the root of the problem. Why do first dates make us so anxious?
It's a great question. I think it comes down to a few key psychological factors. First, there's the fear of judgment. You're meeting someone new and you're essentially being evaluated. Will they like me? Am I smart enough? Funny enough? It's a high-pressure performance.
The pressure to impress. You want to present the best version of yourself, which is exhausting and feels inauthentic, which in turn makes you more nervous. It's a vicious cycle.
It is. And then let's add the layer that our listeners are dealing with, communicating in a non-native language. Now, on top of all the normal dating anxiety, you're worried about grammar, vocabulary, and understanding slang or fast speech.
Right, the fear of being misunderstood or of not being able to express your true personality because of a language barrier is a huge source of stress. You might be hilarious in your native language, but you're worried you'll just sound simple in English.
Exactly. Your brain is doing double the work. It's trying to be charming and witty while simultaneously translating and checking for grammatical errors. No wonder you feel exhausted and nervous before the date even starts.
So the first step is to just acknowledge that. Be kind to yourself. It's completely normal to feel this way. In fact, being nervous means you care, which is a good thing.
A great tip I learned is to try and reframe that feeling. The physical symptoms of anxiety, faster heartbeat, maybe some butterflies in your stomach, are actually the same symptoms for excitement.
That's a powerful mindset shift.
It really is. So instead of telling yourself, I'm so nervous, try telling yourself, I'm excited to meet this person and see what happens. That simple change can trick your brain into feeling more positive and less threatened.
I love that. Acknowledge the feeling and then relabel it. That's a fantastic foundation. But what about practical steps? This brings us to our next segment, the art of preparation.
Yes, as the old saying goes, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Confidence doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It comes from feeling capable and ready.
Okay, but let's be clear. When we say preparation, we don't mean writing a script for the entire evening. That would sound robotic and unnatural.
Not at all. It's about building a toolkit, a safety net of topics and questions you can use if the conversation stalls or if your nerves get the best of you. So, Annette, what's the first step in this preparation process?
The first step is some light research. And again, we don't mean stalking their social media from 5 years ago. Just take another look at their dating profile or the conversation you've had so far. Look for common interests.
What do they mention?
Do they have a picture of them hiking? Do they mention they love jazz music or trying new restaurants? These are your potential conversation starters. Make a mental note of 2 or 3 things you can ask them about.
That's a great starting point. It shows you've been paying attention. Okay, so once you have a few topics, what's next?
This is my favorite tip, and it's a huge one for language learners. Prepare some open-ended questions about those topics.
Can you explain what an open-ended question is?
Of course, an open-ended question is a question that cannot be answered with a simple yes or no. It requires a more detailed answer and invites the other person to share a story or an opinion. These are the questions that really get a conversation flowing.
That makes sense. They do the heavy lifting for you.
They really do. So, for example, a closed question would be, do you like to travel? The answer could be just yes. The conversation dies.
Right. Dead end.
But an open-ended version would be, what's one of the most memorable trips you've ever taken? Now they have to tell you a story. It opens up the conversation completely.
Let's do another one. Instead of, do you like your job? What's a better alternative?
You could ask, what's the most interesting challenge you're working on right now? Or how did you get into that line of work? See how those questions ask for a narrative?
That's brilliant. So have 3 or 4 of these open-ended questions in your back pocket. That alone can significantly lower your anxiety.
Absolutely. Now for the final and most language-focused preparation tip, brush up on some relevant vocabulary and idioms.
Okay, this is where we really get into the English part of English for Life and Love.
Yes, think about your own hobbies and interests. What words would you need to describe them? If you love cooking, make sure you know words like cuisine, savory, aromatic. Also think of phrases to express your passion. Instead of just saying, I like it, you could say, I'm really passionate about it, or I'm really into, or even the more casual, I dabble in a bit of, if it's a more casual hobby.
Those phrases sound so much more natural and fluent. What about some dating-related idioms that might come in handy?
Great idea. A really common one is to hit it off. If you hit it off with someone, it means you get along really well from the very beginning. You could say at the end of the date, I really feel like we hit it off.
Another good one is to break the ice, which means to say or do something to get a conversation started in a social situation. Telling a quick, funny story could be a way to break the ice.
And one more, to be on the same wavelength. This means you think in a very similar way. If you both discover you love the same weird documentary, you could say, wow, it seems like we're really on the same wavelength.
Knowing a few of these idioms can really make you sound more like a native speaker and show off your language skills. So to recap our preparation phase, a little research, prepare open-ended questions, and learn some key vocabulary and idioms.
Exactly. You've built your toolkit. Now you're ready for the date itself, which brings us to our next big topic, mastering conversation flow.
This is where the magic happens. Preparation is one thing, but being present and engaged during the date is another. The goal is a natural back and forth, not an interview.
And the number one skill for creating that flow is active listening. Confidence isn't just about what you say, it's about how well you listen.
Right. Active listening means you're not just waiting for your turn to talk. You're genuinely trying to understand what the other person is saying and showing them you're engaged.
So how do we do that? A great way is to use affirming and encouraging phrases. When they finish sharing a story, instead of just launching into your own, you can say something like,
Wow, that's fascinating. Tell me more about that. Or, that must have been an incredible experience. These phrases validate what they said and invite them to continue.
Another powerful technique is summarizing or clarifying. You can say, so if I'm understanding you correctly, you decided to change careers because you wanted more creative freedom? This shows you are paying close attention.
It really does. People love to feel heard. Doing this builds rapport and connection very quickly. Connected to this is asking good follow-up questions.
Yes, this is how you turn a simple fact into a deep conversation. A good framework to remember is the 5 W's from journalism: who, what, where, when, and why. And you can add how.
Let's use an example. Say your date says, I volunteer at an animal shelter on weekends. A boring response is, oh, cool. But an active listener would ask follow-up questions.
Right. You could ask, that's wonderful. What kind of work do you do there? Or how did you first get involved with that? Or why did you choose that particular shelter?
Exactly. One simple statement can lead to a 10-minute conversation if you're curious and ask good follow-up questions. But of course, a conversation is a two-way street. You can't just be an interviewer. This brings up the crucial point of balancing speaking and listening.
Right. Think of it like a tennis match. They hit the ball to you, you hit it back. You don't want to hold on to the ball for too long. That's called monopolizing the conversation. But you also have to hit it back. You have to share about yourself, too.
A perfect transition phrase in the situation is, that reminds me of. When they finish a story, you can connect it to one of your own experiences. It shows you were listening and it creates a bridge between your lives.
That's a fantastic phrase. It feels so natural. So the key to conversation flow is a dance between genuine curiosity about them and a willingness to be open about yourself.
Perfectly put.
But conversation is more than just words. This brings us to our next segment, body language and beyond.
Yes, a huge percentage of communication is nonverbal. You can be saying all the right things, but if your body language is sending a different message, it can create a disconnect.
So let's talk about how to project confidence through your body. What's the first thing people notice, Annette?
I would say posture. Think about how you're sitting. Are you slumped over, looking at the table, or are your shoulders back and your head up? Confident posture is open. Try not to cross your arms over your chest, as this can seem defensive or closed off.
That's a big one. Another signal of engagement is leaning in slightly when they're talking. It's a subtle cue that you're interested and captivated by what they're saying.
Another one is eye contact. This can be a tricky one for people who are shy.
It can. The key is to maintain it without staring them down. A good rule of thumb is to hold eye contact for about 4 to 5 seconds at a time while they're speaking, then you can briefly look away before re-engaging. When you're speaking, it's natural to look away more often as you gather your thoughts. A useful technique if you're feeling nervous about direct eye contact is the triangle technique. You look at one of their eyes, then the other eye, then their mouth, moving gently between those 3 points. It makes your gaze seem soft and engaged, not intense.
That's a great tip. And finally, the most powerful and universal tool of confident body language, smiling.
It sounds so simple, but it's incredibly effective. A genuine smile makes you look approachable, friendly, and confident, even if you're a bundle of nerves inside. It puts the other person at ease too.
It truly does. So, open posture, gentle eye contact, and a warm smile. These nonverbal cues speak volumes and will support everything you're saying.
Okay, so we've prepared, we're managing the conversation flow, our body language is on point, but what happens when things go wrong? This leads us to our next segment, navigating challenges.
Let's start with every dater's biggest fear, the awkward silence. The conversation just stops. What do you do, Patrick?
First of all, don't panic. A silence is only awkward if you decide it is. It's okay to take a breath and think for a moment. You don't need to fill every single second with noise.
That's a good point, but if it goes on for too long, you might need a strategy. This is where your preparation comes in handy. You can pull out one of those open-ended questions you prepared.
Exactly. You can say something like, so to change the subject completely, I was curious about. It's a smooth way to introduce a new topic. Or you can even acknowledge the moment with a bit of humor, like, I think my brain just needs a second to reboot.
I like that. It shows you don't take yourself too seriously. Okay, next challenge, and this is a big one for our listeners. You're in the middle of a great story and you completely forget a crucial word in English.
This happens to everyone, even native speakers. The worst thing you can do is get flustered and just stop talking. The best thing to do is to describe the word.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you forget the word spatula. You could say, I was trying to flip the pancake, but I couldn't find that flat kitchen tool you use for flipping things. Your date will probably jump in and say, oh, a spatula.
That's a great strategy. It keeps the story moving and can even become a cute collaborative moment. It shows you're a creative problem solver.
Totally. What about making a grammar mistake? People worry this will make them sound unintelligent.
I would say my advice here is simple. Unless the mistake completely changes the meaning of your sentence, just ignore it and keep going.
I agree. 99% of the time, the other person will understand you perfectly from the context. Communication is about connection, not perfection. The fact that you're speaking a second language is already incredibly impressive. No one worth your time is going to judge you for a small grammatical error.
That is so important to remember. Your fluency and your courage are what shine through, not the tiny mistakes. Don't let the fear of imperfection silence you.
Well said. And that feels like a perfect transition to our final segment, the conclusion and key takeaways.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground today. Let's boil it down to the most essential points for our listeners to take away. Patrick, what's your number one takeaway?
For me, it's that confidence is built through preparation. Don't just show up and hope for the best. Spend 15 minutes before your date thinking about a few open-ended questions and some key vocabulary related to your interests. This preparation is your safety net.
An excellent point. My key takeaway is to focus on being an active listener. The most confident people in a conversation aren't always the ones talking the most. They're the ones making the other person feel fascinating. Be curious, ask follow-up questions, and use positive body language.
And my third takeaway would be to embrace imperfection. You don't need to have flawless English to have a fantastic conversation. Don't let the fear of making a mistake hold you back. Your personality is more powerful than your grammar.
That's the perfect summary. And for our final piece of empowering advice, we want to leave you with this thought. The purpose of a first date is not to get the other person to like you. The purpose is to figure out if you like them.
That changes everything, doesn't it? It shifts the power dynamic. You're not auditioning for them. It's a two-way interview. Go into the date with curiosity, not with the need for approval.
Exactly. Be yourself, use these tools to help your personality shine through, and focus on genuine connection. That's the real secret to first date confidence. And before we go, now is the time for our To Remember section, where we recap the most useful vocabulary from today's episode.
First up, we have open-ended questions. These are questions that require more than a simple yes or no answer, encouraging longer, more detailed responses.
Next is active listening. This means fully concentrating on what is being said rather than just passively hearing the words. It involves understanding, responding, and remembering.
Then there's rapport. This is a close and harmonious relationship where people understand each other's feelings and communicate well.
To hit it off is a great phrase. It means to be naturally friendly or well-suited to each other from the first time you meet.
To break the ice means to do or say something to relieve tension or get a conversation going at the start of a social event.
And finally, on the same wavelength. If two people are on the same wavelength, they find it easy to understand each other and share similar ideas.
And on that note, that's all the time we have for today's episode of English for Love and Life. We hope these tips help you on your next romantic adventure.
Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe to our podcast so that you never miss anything about English and relationship. Until next time, happy dating.